Why was it Crashville in Nashville for AMA Monster Energy Supercross this weekend? Let's get the updates. Do you want to find out more about Chase Sexton, Ken Roczen, and Cameron Mcadoo, the points leader that was the points leader, no longer? Welcome into a special edition of the Emergency Department here with AlwaysMoto. I'm your host, David Hogan. It's brought to you by Moto Australia and TechnicMotorsport.com. Now, if you don't already know, I am a physiotherapist and I know the injuries of Supercross and motocross. And we're going to run through the three major injuries that happened in Nashville or Crashville. So let's check them out. Championship chase is over for Chase Sexton. That was a weird crash from Chase Sexton on that KTM here in Nashville. The fact he came up very short on that double across the start line there. One, the impact as he comes up short will impact those wrists. But then there is a second impact as he bounces off and ends up on top of the bars with his lower abdomen region that will also jam his abdomen, but his wrists a second time. Then there's the point where he flips over the handlebars and he's ending up basically head first into the bottom of that berm there. So we've impacted our wrists, our abdomen, and our head. So there's three potential injury points for Chase Sexton that will need review this week. Ken Roczen's night on that Suzuki went up in smoke in Crashville. Unfortunately, that shock blowout or potential shock blowout, it looks like it was that in the review of the video. But it's led to a big crash at the end of the whoops. So Ken Roczen, that thing is basically pogo sticked himself off because all that was left was the spring to ride on through those last few whoops. 9 whoops or not didn't help him for Ken Roczen. Kenny's landed, unfortunately, with his left leg out as the first point of contact with the ground. Now, everyone's going to think ACL straight away. It is possible that that is the injury occurred here. But he lands on a little bit of a turned-in angle on that leg. So maybe he has just jammed the inside of the joint and maybe will escape the ACL. Maybe there's a meniscal injury. Hopefully, it's just some internal bone bruising where the two bones, the tibia and the fibula, impact on each other as they jam together. These things tend to hurt a lot at the point of impact for a knee. Doesn't matter whether you do any damage or no damage. It just tends to hurt. Hopefully that has worn off by now post-race. But Kenny's going to need some checks this week to see if he can make it to the start line for next week. What can you say about Pro Circuit Kawasaki that hasn't already been said in the last few weeks or years? Unfortunately, their injury run has been just a black cloud over the team. Cameron Mcadoo, the latest to fall victim, unfortunately, in qualifying, managed to tangle with another rider briefly and fall down into the face of the upcoming jump, impacting his shoulder directly with that. He had the arm outstretched, but then folded in and tucked and hit into that shoulder point. There's a few potential issues here for Cameron Mcadoo. He's obviously already had some pre-existing injuries with his shoulders. Whether he's re-aggravated one of those or has he created something new? Whether he has just maybe ripped some scar tissue from those past injuries, you won't know just yet. But he has an issue there that potentially will be some labral damage, whether he's done an AC joint, which is that collarbone meeting the shoulder point. Maybe he's broken something else within the joint in terms of the bone structure. We don't know at this point. There's going to need to be a lot more scans done before we can find out. All we know is that he was unable to complete the main event. That's a bad sign for Cameron Mcadoo. Garrett Marchbanks on that Club MX FXR Yamaha went down early in the heat race. Unfortunately, he didn't get up and was the cause of that red flag. The initial reviews of that for myself, I didn't think there was too much to that impact, but the fact that he's landed straight on the side of his body, potentially his shoulder, but also his elbow into his ribs/abdomen area, could be some internal injuries there and maybe even his hips or his pelvis as well. So there's a bit of an impact to be investigated. The fact that he didn't get up and they required a red flag is also an unfortunate bad sign for Garrett Marchbanks. Hopefully he will be able to be checked out and cleared of any serious injuries, but we'll have to watch this space for more press releases this week to find out what's happened to Garrett Marchbanks, along with all the other guys that we've mentioned so far in this video. So it was Crashville in Nashville. Despite all the changes that Feld and AMA have made this year to reduce the factor of injuries in Supercross, it hasn't made any difference in Crashville, unfortunately. 9 whoops, no dragon backs. It doesn't matter when there's a potential bike malfunction. And the pressure of championships coming down to the wire, and when you have multiple guys on track, anything can happen. That is racing, unfortunately. So stay tuned to the AlwaysMoto YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. We'll have more on these injuries as we find out more from the riders and teams direct this week. So check back later in the week and we'll give you an update as best we can with most detail that you'll find anywhere on injuries here in our sport. Thanks to AlwaysMoto and myself. Catch you next time.